Everything you wanted is a lie.
Okay, what's up, YouTube? This is What If Anime, and today I'm making a video explaining the origin of traps, or at least why traps are popular in the anime industry as of this decade. Now, I'm pretty sure any of you who have been watching anime for the last, I'll say 10 years or so, you've noticed that there's been more and more and more and more anime traps popping up in your animes. I mean, just look at ReZero, you got Felix. Or look at Fate Apocrypha, you got Astoff or Astolfo. Now, in the anime industry, a lot of traps or a lot of trap characters are largely used as comedy relief characters, for example, Hidari from Blend S, or, those types of characters. They're largely used for comedy relief. There are some traps that are just there as a joke or a gag, or just a, funny, happy-go-lucky character in some cases. Now, you see that in a lot of, slice of life anime, but a lot of these manga and anime artists, some of them are hentai artists too, and they also designed a lot of these traps to be a sexual market character. It's kind of like when you see fan service in most of your animes. You see girls with the big tits or the big butts, or all the there are trap fan service characters as well, just like there are your standard female fan service characters. So yeah, so let's talk about that for a little bit. Now, overall, let's be honest with ourselves. Traps are not just popular because they're comedy relief characters or because they're funny or any of that. You gotta be honest. A lot of traps you see in anime, just like I mentioned, are not just fan service, and they're not just sexual market, something they can market that the artist slash animator slash mangaka can sell off, as merchandise or any of that. Traps are also an extension of social media. If you go to social media, there are a lot of real life traps. If you go to Tumblr, if you go to Twitter, if you go to Facebook, you see a lot of real life traps or transgender individuals. So you have a lot of manga artists and a lot of anime studios, and a lot of light novel artists who will cater to that audience. And then you have a lot of hentai artists who also cater to the trap slash futanari slash transgendered porn community. I'm pretty sure you guys and girls all know that. I mean, just go to Google, take the safe search off, and type in trap, futanari, or any type of transgender related hentai, and you'll get literally hundreds of millions of results. That's because on the internet, traps are a secret fetish. And a lot of guys know that. A lot of guys who've been on the internet for years, for decades in some cases, that there are lots of guys who secretly fantasize about traps or transgender characters and people as a whole. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have gone to Pornhub or Xtube, or you guys have gone to Tumblr or Twitter and taken the safe search off and searched up some of this stuff that I'm talking about, some of this hentai, some of this amateur pornographic material. Now, I'm saying that because I'm trying to censor myself a little bit, because this is YouTube. Let's remember, this is YouTube. You can't just say all kinds of explicit stuff anymore because of the censorship, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit. But let's be honest, a lot of guys secretly fantasize about traps, and a lot of manga artists and a lot of animation studios know this, so they designed a lot of these trap characters to cater to those guys. I'm pretty sure you've gone to like Twitter and seen like Astolf or Astolfo hentai or fan art, or you've seen the hentai of Hidari from Blend S, or hentai of Ruka from Steins Gate, or some of you guys are even more extreme, and you guys have probably fapped to Boku no Pico hentai. let's not lie to ourselves. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have done that. There's no point in lying about it. Just be honest. Just be 100% honest. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have fapped that material. A lot of guys, I do art on Tumblr. And a lot of guys ask me to do art of characters like Hideyoshi, Hideyoshi from I can't remember the name of that anime, Baka no Test, A lot of people like that character. A lot of guys like fan art, especially sexualized fan art of Hideyoshi, who was basically, a trap. A lot of guys fapped the Gisa Shiota, from the Assassination Classroom series. A lot of guys draw lewd art of that character. A lot of guys, as I mentioned, they draw sexualized fan art of Felix from ReZero. That's all over the place. And they like to turn non-trap characters, your basic female characters from any anime, into a trap or futanari. That's literally like one of the basic Rule 34 type situations when it comes to drawing hentai, to take one of your standard anime girls and to turn her into a trap or a futanari character. And the anime industry knows that, so you have a lot of traps and futanari characters in anime, and a lot of them are designed to appeal to the normie in the anime world, the basic otaku male who will see one of these characters and be like, she's waifu material. And then they're shocked to find out, oh no, she's really a man or a guy, or she's like transgendered or something, or she's a futanari. And so that might turn off like half the guys, but then the other half of the guys, myself included, will be like, that's okay, I don't care. She's still waifu material anyway. So yeah, the anime industry knows that. And then again, on social media, you have a lot of traps. In Japan, for example, there's a secret underground trap prostitution. It's like a business. There was a hentai called Autonoko Delivery, which was basically about, that's like Boku no Pico, but it's based on something that actually happens in Japan. They're like grown men who hire teenage traps or cross-dressers, they use them like prostitutes, this is like a form of prostitution that happens. There are real traps and cross-dressers in Japan who are like escorts and all that. I mean, if you go to like Twitter or Tumblr and type in, cross-dresser or transgendered or transvestite and translate that into Japanese and then type that into the search bar onto Twitter or any of those social media websites, and you will find literal Japanese trap or cross-dresser prostitutes and escort girls or guys on those social media websites. I know, I've seen them. This is a thing. A lot of these people have tens of thousands, millions of followers in some cases. They're in Japan, that's a thing. It's in the US, it's everywhere, It's not something that I'm against. That's good, If you run a real trap or a real cross-dresser or a transgender girl in real life, then I think you should probably have that if that's what you really want, But again, the anime industry knows that too, and so you see a lot of traps. These traps are like fan service for those guys who are into traps and futanaris in real life, or who just fantasize about it. There's a lot of guys who like traps and futanaris who don't actually, or have never been with anyone who's actually transgender or who is really a cross-dresser or any of that. But there are some guys that secretly fantasize about it. There are a lot of guys, not some, lots, probably millions of guys fantasize about it. I mean, transgender porn wouldn't be so mainstream in the porn industry if there wasn't guys fantasizing about it. And I have too, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a straightforward guy. I tell the truth about myself. I have too, and a lot of other guys have too, but most guys are afraid to admit it. But again, the anime industry knows, so traps are becoming a mainstay in the anime industry because the anime industry knows a lot of guys are into that stuff. They're into it. They're secretly into it, and some guys are openly into it. And so the anime industry caters to those guys by having these characters. Not just the anime industry, but the manga and light novel industry also. Just, I like to tell guys who were into that, who were into traps and futanari for real, like in real life, like actual traps and futanaris, or not futanaris, but or hermaphrodites or she-males or whatever you want to call them, or guys who are just into the anime version, the anime traps or cross-dresser, to just be realistic. If that's what you want, then go after it. If you like to draw or look at that stuff, then, I wouldn't say tell everybody about it, but at least be honest with yourself. There's no point of lying about what you want in life. So yeah, that is why traps are a thing in the anime industry, But like, if you're a trap fan, like, just don't lie to yourself. Like, you like the traps. You like the guys who look like chicks, or you like the cross-dressers or the transgender characters. So I know a lot of guys think about that stuff. And the anime industry knows that too. So the anime industry caters to all of those different types of people who are into traps, either superficially or literally. By superficially, I mean you just like the characters, they're funny or whatever. And literally, as in you literally like traps. The anime industry knows that, the manga industry knows that, the light novel industry knows that, and they cater to those fans, whether it's just for jokes or whether it's serious. That is why traps exist, especially nowadays in the anime industry as a whole. So what do you all think? Put your opinions in the comments section below. And also, if you have a favorite trap character, please tell me in the comment section too. I would like to know that. If I had to pick one or two, I would say my favorite trap characters are Felix from ReZero and Nagisa Shayota from Assassination Classroom. And I would say the final one would be like, I guess Astolf from Fate Apocrypha. I like that character, even though he's a newer character to me. I still like that character's design. So, but if you have a favorite trap character, put it in the comment section below. And until next time, this was What If Anime signing off.